We definitely expected the Raptors to find some talent with the 31st overall pick in the NBA draft, but there's 3 players we did not expect to be available in the position that they could choose to take on. So in this video, we cover 5 players the Raptors should be eyeing with their second round pick. Let's get into it. 3 players who were absolutely expected to be drafted in the first round who are all of a sudden available at 31st overall for the Raptors are Kolek, Johnny Furphy, and Kyle Filipowski. Honestly, in some mock drafts, I saw these guys going in the top 20 of the draft, but they've fallen all the way potentially into the grateful hands of the Raptors with the 31st overall pick if they so should choose to select these players. But I think that there is a sleeper player available in this spot that the Raptors may prefer. And also, there's one more guy I want to mention over the course of today's video where we cover 5 prospects the Raptors should be looking at right here on Amateur Sports 2, the second channel in the Amateur Production Network, where I give you additional Toronto Raptors content to my main channel, Amateur Sports, with over 17,000 subscribers. And if you enjoy what you see from today's video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to help us on the road to 2,000 subs. I won't keep you guys waiting any longer here. The sleeper that I have for the 31st overall pick for the Raptors is UCLA's Adem Bona. I can see the Raptors passing on Filipowski, Furphy, and Kolek for reasons I'll outline over the course of this video. And if they pass, I can absolutely see them drawn to a player like Bona. 6'9" center who makes up for his lack of height with big-time hustle, big-time strength, and a big-time wingspan at 7'4". He is one of the older ones at 21.2, but still plenty to work with here for the Raptors for the player coming out of Turkey who was born in Nigeria. Statistically, for UCLA this season, he put up 12.4 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, which is on the lower side, which we will discuss over the course of this segment. Added in a steal per game, 1.8 blocks, efficient on the inside at 58.8, and honestly, he brought up his free throw percentage to a good number at 69.6, where he won't be hackable like he potentially was in his first season playing with UCLA. Better numbers in his second season, as I said. The biggest draw for Bona is the defensive side of the floor. He was Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, and he's got the potential to be a defensive anchor in the NBA. Big-time shot blocker, uses his athleticism and bounce to create some real highlights in the shot blocking department. Good help defender as a result as well. Timing is decent, could use some improvements, which we'll discuss as well in the weaknesses. But there's a lot to like on the defensive end of the floor with the size, length, athleticism. This is something the Raptors have typically liked with these sorts of draft picks here, thinking back to what they drafted with Christian Koloko. Somebody who could be that defensive anchor who also had some switchability and ability to defend on the perimeter. That's what Bona can bring to the team. He is an aggressive paint scorer, uses that bounce to get some real highlights on the offensive end with some dunks, but scores well on the inside. Has some post-up flashes. That's going to need a bit of work to develop some other dynamism to his offense, but I think that's something the Raptors can tap into. Good in pick and rolls, very good screen setter, going to create a lot of space for whichever point guard he's playing with, and he's a big-time hustler. Bobby Webster said it when the Raptors drafted Jacoby Walter. Like, these are the types of guys they're looking for, guys who are winners, guys who hustle, guys who have the intangibles, and Bona definitely fits into that category. But what the weaknesses are, first of all, he fouls way too much, fouled out of too many games this season, got into foul trouble in way too many games this season. Discipline is going to have to be worked on, and timing a little bit more for Bona. Rebounding numbers are a bit low, as we saw. That's obviously something that needs to improve, which is kind of strange because he hustles hard. He crashes the offensive glass hard. He should be a good rebounder, but the numbers just don't really reflect that. So something to take note of. Definitely not a passer. Can't play in the perimeter. Not going to pass out of the high post. Struggles with dribble handoffs. That is definitely a major area of concern that needs to be addressed on the offensive end. Doesn't shoot, didn't take any threes in college. I think that's okay, but he needs to add in some finishing away from the rim. Can't shoot mid-range. Like, can we just at least add a bit of a fadeaway? Maybe even a bit more of an adept hook shot. He's decent at that, but some more versatility to his scoring is needed to thrive at the NBA. And he's already 21, maybe an area of concern where the Raptors think, hey, should we go for a more upside swing here? All of these stats lead me to believe that you've got a player who resembles Bismack Biyombo quite a bit, and here's a player who's undersized at center who has continued to be effective in the NBA, and I see a lot of parallels to his game to what Bona can bring to potentially the Raptors. But 3 players who were maybe not expected to be available at 31st overall who are now here, who fans want the Raptors to take, scouts are saying would be a good spot for the Raptors. It's Kyle Filipowski, Johnny Furphy, Kolek, but I can see why the Raptors would want to pass on all 3. And we'll cover that in the video. I'm not saying they'd be bad picks, but I can see why the Raptors would pass, and we're going to learn why. So Kolek, he's a power forward center. 6'11" with a slightly negative wingspan. I just rounded it to 6'11" here. 20 years old, coming out of Duke. Decent stats. Like, clearly this guy knows how to score. He's a good playmaker and a good passer. Overall, good feel for the game. You see his shooting numbers, 34.8%. That's decent from a floor spacing standpoint. And he's just got a lot of great fundamentals to his game. He knows where to be defensively, has the shooting upside, overall can score, has the potential to be a high post playmaker. But defensively, there are some issues. Athletically, there are some issues. He's not athletic. He's a negative wingspan. Struggles against size. Got absolutely bullied in the NCAA tournament against DJ Burns on NC State, which many people may remember that game. Turns the ball over a bit too much. But the big concerns for me on defense, not laterally quick, doesn't defend in space well at all, and he can't protect the rim. That leads to some questionable upside, I think, in this position. I can clearly see why he's fallen to 31st overall, and I can clearly see why the Raptors would pass on him because they value these skills a lot. They value defense, they value rim protection, they value athleticism, and Kyle Filipowski, unfortunately, doesn't bring that. Now, I can still see the Raptors going for him, absolutely, because of the skills offensively, but this would be why they would pass. I liken his game a lot to Mo Wagner, but the big swing for Filipowski will be, can he play defense? And that will determine his NBA future. Another guy in this spot I actually quite like because of the size and shooting that he brings and upside is Johnny Furphy. I can see, again, why he's fallen here. Did not expect it, but it's rare to find a guy who's not even 20 yet, has the upside, 6'8" with a 6'8" wingspan, and can shoot the ball. Decent shooting figures at 35% from three, 46% on the inside, a good effective field percentage. What I like about him is that he takes high percentage looks, highly efficient looks, brought in 9 points per game as a role player. Knows his role and sticks to it, which makes him scale down well into a role in the NBA. He's got good size. He's a big-time off-ball threat. Catch and shooting is great. Movement shooting is okay. Great cutter and a crafty finisher to go with it. So, like I said, scales down to find these high percentage looks and has some decent upside the Raptors could work with in this position. So I could see the appeal here, but athleticism and defense are a concern once again. He's not athletic. He's got slow foot speed. Can't defend on ball. Can't defend off ball. That's an area of concern. The shot creation stuff isn't a big deal to me because, I like him as a role player. You don't need to be have any self-creation for that, but he's unpolished a little bit. That leads upside, as I said, but, I can see why the Raptors would pass here. I like his game a lot to Gordon Hayward, especially if the self-creation stuff does come at some point, but the lack of defense and athleticism is concerning to me and will be concerning to the Raptors. I think it's a fine pick here and fine to take a swing here, but there's another reason to highlight why the Raptors might pass. Point guard who's fallen quite a bit, who I actually may have even liked at 19 overall, but Jacoby Walter was available. That was the obvious choice. But Tyler Kolek has fallen quite a bit, and the reason why is his age. We saw Dalton Connect fall out of a top 10 spot to 17 to the Lakers because people don't really want to work with 23-year-old players, especially one who's 6'2", with only a 6'3" wingspan, and he's not athletic. Had a great season with Marquette. Great numbers, 15 points per game, 5 rebounds, almost 8 assists, very efficient to go with it as well. He's a floor general. Look, there's a lot of great stuff. Floor general, highly efficient, good catch and shooter, crafty finisher, takes the high percentage looks, solid defensive IQ, got the great intangibles, all the makings of a backup point guard, but doesn't have size, doesn't have length, he's not athletic, not a great defender, lack of upside. It's just a lot of areas where the Raptors may have a problem. He's another player I'd be fine with because I think he fits into a backup point guard role, as I said, and I think that the Raptors need that position. So, either you can address it now or you're going to have to try and address it in the draft, in free agency. But, yeah, the lack of upside here makes me think the Raptors want to take more of a swing. If everything goes well for Kolek, I see a player, this is the easiest player comparable I might make in this entire draft. TJ McConnell is the clear player comparable for me. If he can get things right defensively and be effective in those areas, he can have an NBA career as a result. But the player in the pre-draft process that I said was my prediction to go to the Raptors, who is still available and could be the selection here, is Bobby Klintman, the Swedish player playing in Australia in the NBL. Showcased more of his talents here compared to his season of college where he wasn't that good. He's 6'10" with a 6'11" wingspan, so some great size to work with. Already showing some flashes of scoring. 10 points per game, showing flashes of shooting. Remember, he's playing with adults, so you can give a bit more leeway to efficiency, but he shot the ball 34-ish% from three. I think there's good tools here to work with. Because of the size, because of the length, because of the shooting, I think he also scales down well into a role because of his cutting and his transition play and his defensive switchability. This leads me to believe he has a high floor and can be an off-ball threat that the Raptors could want to use. Where he will have to improve is his quickness and his strength. The quickness to be able to defend the threes better. His strength to be able to defend fives better. He's really locked into a 4 right now, but definitely has the versatility upside on the defensive end of the floor. The three-point consistency, we'll have to see if that can continue, but I think that there are a lot of tools here that the Raptors would like to work with. But overall, as much as I think all 5 of these players are viable options, I can clearly see why, even though Filipowski, Furphy, and Kolek are going to be the popular choices for the Raptors in mocks and from fans today, I can clearly see why there's potential for the Raptors to pass on those guys and go for a player like Adem Bona. Go for a player like Jonathan Mogbo, maybe even Tyler Smith. I'm not personally really high on Tyler Smith, but this is why I can see the Raptors passing on the 3 guys who have fallen out of the first round, who last night I was thinking, wow, great picks for the Raptors. Today I'm thinking, I think they're fine picks, but I don't know if the Raptors are going to love these prospects. So we shall see what goes on. Let me know what you think about the second round pick. I'm going to be live streaming for the second round of the draft on my main channel, Amateur Sports. Make sure you go check it out over there. But if you do want to see more content on this channel, subscribe to Amateur Sports 2. Here is my main channel, Amateur Sports. Here is my clips channel, Amateur Reactions. So I'll see you again next time for another video here on Amateur Sports 2.